On October 3, 1948, months after the establishment of a branch of the University of London to serve British colonies, including an extramural department, then the University College of the West Indies, the first campus officially opened in Mona, Jamaica. 10 women and 23 men from across the Caribbean enrolled to study medicine. Later that year, through Royal Charter, the university was formally approved by the Privy Council. It has been rendered as a place of light, liberty and learning, as well as a Caribbean response to the challenge of change by Sir Philip Sherlock, the first Director of Extramural Studies, and Professor Rex Nettleford, the first UWI alumnus to become Vice-Chancellor, in their joint monograph documenting the university's history. 75 years ago, what began as a fledgling university campus in Jamaica has evolved into a future-driven and top-ranked global academy with 5 campuses across the Caribbean and global centers in North and Latin America, Asia, Africa, and Europe.
We are rich in innovations and ideas. We are powerful pelicans, ready to fly on those wings of change like never before.
We are renowned for an exceptional record of producing critical thinkers and leaders who serve the needs of the 21st century society, and at 75, we're just hitting our stride.
UWI's legacy is the light of stellar service and leadership in the Caribbean for 7.5 decades.
A global university rooted in the Caribbean, activist, SDG engaged, climate smart, and championing reparatory justice with a mission to advance learning, create knowledge, and foster innovation for the positive transformation of the Caribbean and the wider world. As we mark our 75th anniversary in 2023, the UWI at 75 Jubilee supports a reflection of our past, homage to the present, and the future outlook.
And so we have to be robust in our management, we have to be strategic in our decision making, and we have to ensure that this university continues to rise and to make proud the people of the Caribbean.
We are rooted. Although our growth and impact continues to be global, we remain strongly influenced by where our university's foundation was built and by our service to Caribbean people and their contributions to the UWI's development. We are ready. We continue to be an advocate for the region, its needs and advancement, and we are recognized as a valuable resource for expertise on every issue that it faces, playing an unprecedented role in enabling the Caribbean's readiness, ability to overcome challenges, to build the Caribbean's resilience, and revitalize Caribbean development. We are rising. We face head-on with realness and honesty the reality that there is still room for the university to grow. We are on a continuous path of improvement and development, and as the light rising from the west, we aspire to rise, to soar higher, and to be a beacon of empowerment to our community. Rooted, ready, rising. Join us for the 75th anniversary of the University of the West Indies. Learn more at www.uwi.edu/75.
The 75th anniversary of the university, 2023, will be a magnificent year.
every time we never sound good to you. We never sound good. Huh? We changed it. No flute. You say no flute.
Good evening. We'll get started in another 5 minutes or so. The minister has just landed, so he's catching himself. As soon as he gets a little water, then we'll get started. Thank you.
Say easier.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are about to get started with this Research Day official opening ceremony and recognition and award ceremony for graduates of our postgraduate DM program. I'm going to ask you to all stand with me as we're going to have the Defense Force Band play the national anthem for us. Oh, so just a minute. I thought they were here before you, but okay. I'm mistaken. The graduates are not here. I was wondering where they were. Are they still studying? I'm going to ask you all to be seated for a moment, please, until the graduates decide that they're finished their studying. Okay, you can stand and receive them, please. Thank you. Please remain standing as we have the national anthem, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Please continue standing as we have Associate Lecturer in Emergency Medicine, Dr. Raquel Hall Davis, come with the invocation.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, this evening we have come with bowed down heads and humble hearts to give you thanks and praise for this grand occasion. We invite your presence into this place to superintend over the activities. We are indeed grateful for this DM 2022-2024 recognition and award ceremony, where we have come to celebrate with those who have passed and pressed their way to the completion of their postgraduate programs. Every good and perfect gift comes from you. We thank you for the gifts you have bestowed upon us and the graduates. We thank you for perfecting the gifts within us and them. We thank you for knowledge. We ask for compassion, wisdom, and understanding. We give you praise and glory for allowing the graduates to arrive at this moment in time. They have studied and applied themselves to the specialization of their crafts. We are thankful that they will make positive contributions to healthcare. You have been their strength throughout their journey. We ask that you continue to lead and guide them into the paths you have designed and ordained for them to go. Loving God, we ask that you continue to bless the work of their hands. We ask and pray for continued professional success for every one of them. I pray a special blessing for all the graduates and participants who will partake in this ceremony. I pray for all the friends, relatives, and loved ones who would have come to celebrate with the graduates. May their celebrations be filled with laughter and exuberance. Protect them in their coming and going. Holy Spirit, bring your sustaining and perfecting peace to every one of us who serve on the front lines of the medical community. Comfort us as we care for the people you have entrusted into our care. May your peace that surpasses all understanding guard our hearts and minds in Jesus Christ. I also pray a special blessing over this 18th Annual Research Day Conference. I pray that all will go well according to the plans of the organizers, and that their expectations and those of the participants be superseded. These things I ask in your precious holy name, I pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Now, I don't want y'all to tell the graduates, right? But I was about to start the ceremony without them. But don't tell them. Do not let them know that. This is actually a dual occasion. This is the opening ceremony for our research day, which is the 18th session of it, 18th annual, as well as it's the recognition and award ceremony for, giving me a hard time, recognition and award ceremony for graduates of our postgraduate or DM program. As you will notice, it's from 2022 to 2024. As you know, COVID made a lot of things change, and there's no difference in this respect. My name is Dr. James Johnson. I am a clinical tutor in obstetrics and gynecology with the postgraduate program, as well as with undergraduates, as well as I served as the initial coordinator for the obstetrics and gynecology postgraduate program. But presently I am semi-retired, and but still trying to make my contribution. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this 18th annual Research Day opening ceremony, and to the recognition ceremony for our postgraduate successful students. Minister Darville, Minister of Health, Minister Campbell, I think that is sitting next to him, former ministers Folks, Gibson, Nottage, and I hope I didn't miss anybody else. Those are persons I saw in the crowd. Our former our program director, Dr. Cinqui Brown, and her young husband, Dr. Conville Brown, our former director, Dr. Robin Roberts, all of our lecturers, our medical chief of staff, Dr. Williams, our former chief of staff, Dr. Bernard Garraway, and now I'm about to get into lots of trouble because I'm going to miss somebody, and then they will tell me how I didn't get them. But just in case I missed you, you are all welcome to this occasion. And since we're getting off to a late start, we are going to see how quickly we can get the ball rolling. So I'm going to ask you to give a round of applause to our director, Dr. Cinqui Brown, who is going to come at this time with her remarks. Dr. Cinqui Brown. You want this, right?
Good night, everyone. And my job is the easiest of all. It is just to welcome you all to this event. This is our 18th annual research day, and we have not missed any other than one during COVID. And we are committed to keep this going. I know that every one of you here were looking forward to being a part of the celebrations for the induction ceremony that we had in July. But we had such a big class, it was just difficult to blend the two. I would like to congratulate Dr. Halliday for coming up with the suggestion of combining this with our opening day ceremony. And rightfully so, because every year the DM graduates are the ones who are the main backbone for the presentations of their research. I celebrate all of you. We have 38 persons who would have completed the DM programs in the various specialties. And you are our future leaders. You are the ones charged with taking over. I'm in the departure lounge, and the plane is about to take off. But I reflect and look at what we have done in the past 27 years, and I realize that many persons who would have gone through the programs, both in undergrad and then postgrad, are now in leadership positions, and you are charged to become the next set of leaders. I think we are in good hands. Minister Darville, I think we have done well with leaving the healthcare system, at least with the physicians, in a good place. So I welcome all of you to this celebration. We were particularly concerned to include the families and the friends, because your degrees are very much their degrees. I celebrate the mothers and the fathers who took charge of children while their daughters and sons studied for the awards. And those of you who know that this particularly pertains to them, you know what I'm talking about. So it was rightfully done that you became an important part of this celebration. Thank you very much for coming out and being a part of this. Have a great night, and I'm looking forward to all of the presentations. Thank you.
Excellent. Very good. Moving right along, we are going to have remarks by our biostatistician and epidemiology lecturer, Mr. Alfonso Blake. Mr. Blake is the one who would assist most of these students, postgraduate students, with their research and so forth. So give him a round of applause as he comes, please.
Thank you, Dr. James Johnson. So good evening, everyone. Following on the established protocols, I am delighted to welcome you all to our Hybrid Research Days conference for the year 2024 under the theme Innovations in Healthcare, Empowering Lives, Advancing Medicine. It's a privilege to host such a distinguished gathering of healthcare professionals, researchers, policymakers, and industry leaders in one setting. And importantly, it is an equally great privilege to have so many of our doctors of medicine graduates present their research, which they conducted as a rite of passage to the award of the degree. Our theme is more relevant than ever as we navigate the complexities of modern medicine. The need for groundbreaking solutions has never been greater. From cutting-edge technologies to transformative research, the innovations showcased here have the potential to influence policies and behaviors locally with the aim of improving health outcomes. Tonight, we're also honored to recognize the exceptional achievements of our postgraduates, medical students who completed their studies between the year 2022 to 2024. Their dedication, perseverance, and intellectual curiosity are a testament to the future of healthcare in the Bahamas. The conference promises to have an additional 2 packed days of activities, continuing tomorrow morning for a research workshop at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the PMH UWI library. And it takes the form of a coffee session which you can attend just before you head off to work. So there are only 45 slots available. So if you're not registered as yet, I encourage you to register before the end of the night to be there in person. However, there's also going to be a Zoom link which you can actually log into, which will be the medium for the other 3 to 6 sessions of the conference, where we'll have 25 scientific presentations, which are done by our DM students, and 7 invited keynote speakers. It would be remiss of me, however, to not take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to the incredible team who worked tirelessly to have this occasion occurring. From our sponsors, some examples: Nestle Medical Protection Society, Doctors Hospital, Celco Labs, Family Medicine Center, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Physicians Alliance, the PMH, the Public Hospitals Authority, the University of the Bahamas, and our very own, the School of Clinical Medicine and Research. To the members of the Research Committee and the staff at the SCMR, some notable mentions: our very own director, Dr. Sincree Brown, the research chairperson, Dr. Darren Halliday, Ms. Suja Phillips, and our administrative support, Ms. Tanya Kelly. Their dedication, expertise, and hard work have been instrumental in creating this exceptional event. Given the hybrid nature of the event, I urge you to seize this opportunity to connect, collaborate, and inspire one another. Let us exchange ideas and share knowledge and foster a spirit of innovation that will drive healthcare in the Bahamas and the region forward. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to a stimulating and productive conference. Thank you very much.
We are indeed thankful to have a person like Mr. Blake with us, because I'm sure that all of these graduates would have to have done some kind of research in order for you to qualify to actually write your exam and then obtain your specialty degree. So that it's quite appropriate for us to have a hybrid event of this nature. We are pleased to have with us our Minister of Health and Wellness. And at this point in time, I'm going to ask you to stand and receive Minister Darville as he comes with his address. Minister Darville.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Please be seated and give our graduates a round of applause, please. Standing on the established protocol, please allow me to just acknowledge Dr. Cinque Brown, other distinguished members of the faculty, our keynote speaker, Dr. Hamilton, and I was so pleased to see him on the program because I think on the 6th to the 18th we'll be at COP29 fighting to get some grant funding from the Green Climate Fund and begin to establish the Bahamas as one of those small island development states that are severely impacted by the ravages of climate change. About a half an hour ago, I came back from Inagua looking at the effects of Hurricane Oscar and its impact on that island. And thank God, it was not as bad as we anticipated, but it did affect healthcare delivery systems. And so Dr. Hamilton's presentation, I think, is extremely timely. I was in the waiting room and I had an opportunity to observe the graduates and to see the glaring glows on their faces. And I want to let you know that not only your family is proud of you, I'm proud of you, the Bahamian people are proud of you, and we cannot wait for you to impart some of your training, skills, and compassion to delivering healthcare to Bahamians in your respective specialties. But this afternoon, I'm really delighted to be here. I'm sorry I forgot my colleague, Jomo Campbell, Minister Campbell, who also in agriculture, when we go to international conferences around the world, food security is a major aspect, and the impact on climate change and delivering food security is something extremely important to the international community. It's always good to be at Bahamas. I believe the conference center is always beautiful, and when we do international conferences, it gives us an opportunity to display the excellence in tourism in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and I am pleased to be here tonight at the 18th Annual Research Day Conference hosted by Miami Ata, the University of the West Indies School of Medicine, Clinical Medicine and Research. This year's conference theme is Innovations in Healthcare, Empowering Lives and Advancing Medicine. It reminds me of the importance of our collaborative efforts as clinicians, scientists, medical experts, allied healthcare professionals to begin to deliver quality healthcare services throughout our archipelago. Colleagues, let me once again acknowledging Dr. Cinque Brown, Director of UWI here in the Bahamas, her dedicated faculty and staff. Please give them a round of applause because they are trailblazing. Dr. Cinque, your hard work and commitment towards the academic excellence of healthcare development continues to strengthen the quality of healthcare professionals deployed across the nation. For the family and those who will hear me on the airways, the University of the West Indies is a fine institution. And I know if Dr. Roberts had the opportunity to come up, as well as Loxley Monroe, they would tell you about the history of the University of the West Indies, where we fit in terms of accreditation around the world, and the impact the graduates from the University of the West Indies is making worldwide, not regional, but worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been more than 4.5 years since COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. I realize now when I look at the 38 graduates, I heard that there was some delay in getting us to where we are today, but from 2022 to 2024, you played an intricate role in delivering healthcare services throughout our country in the midst of the pandemic. Although the pandemic still remains a threat to public health, we have adopted and incorporated many of the lessons learned in the heat of the pandemic, particularly hygiene measures. 2 days ago, we had our IPC conference, where we addressed many of the issues of infectious diseases in our primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, but we learned a lot about hand washing, respiratory etiquette. All of these simple measures that somehow slip through the cracks are playing an important role now in the delivery of healthcare services in the country. Over the past 3 years, 38 students have successfully completed the Doctorate of Medicine program here in New Providence, and if I'm not mistaken, there is some rotations, particularly in the family medicine program, where you move to the various islands and some of our clinics. Your accomplishment demonstrate the hard work and perseverance. Anyone who study medicine will know that most of it is mind over matter, is perseverance over some of the greatest challenges, and your perseverance have led to a system of striving for excellence. I understand there's 3 graduates in emergency medicine. We can't wait to get you and begin now to sit with you and work out those contracts. 15 in family medicine, and I hope and pray that you will start moving throughout the family islands, because I say this at the corner of my mouth, the majority of family medicine graduates are in New Providence. Part of that could be as a result of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and for us to sit with you and iron out some of the challenges that exist with you to advance your careers in other family islands. 4 in obstetrics and gynecology, 7 in pediatrics, 6 in psychiatry, and 3 graduates in surgery. Family and friends, give them a round of applause. You have not only met the challenges of your studies, but have excelled in them, from my understanding. And I am confident that your mechanism for advancement will carry you through the entire journey of your career, which is a lifelong journey of learning. The DM program, which started in 2002 with family medicine, is now expanded to 7 distinct programs. And I would like to see that even expand further, because with Dr. Cinque Brown and the Chancellor from the University of the West Indies, we are now going through discussions to expand the programs as we break ground for 2 tertiary hospitals here in New Providence. Over the past 22 years, a remarkable 165 graduates have successfully completed the studies at the University of the West Indies in relevant specialties, and you are classified as leaders and change makers in the healthcare systems. Graduates, as you step into the next chapter of your careers, I urge you to approach the challenges that lies ahead with an open mind and an open spirit, and to commit yourself to working along with other healthcare professionals throughout the country to improve healthcare delivery systems, both in the public and private sector. Your success is not just your degrees. You have earned it, but you also have the power to change and transform lives with your personal touch, compassion, and love for the people you will be privileged to serve. As healthcare specialists, I encourage you to be vigilant, hardworking, compassionate, and committed to using your knowledge, your training, your skills to empower lives. Not to negatively impact lives, but to empower lives and to advance healthcare delivery systems, not only in New Providence and Grand Bahama, but some of our far-flung family islands who are dying for secondary and tertiary healthcare experiences in those areas as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the ongoing partnership the government of the Bahamas have with the University of the West Indies, and how we utilize taxpayers' money effectively to train Bahamians, some who may not have the opportunity with the financial resources to do so, but to come back into our communities and take care of us. This partnership demonstrates our commitment to fostering higher education and investing in the next generation of healthcare professionals and leaders, as Dr. Cinque Brown has said. As we move into the shadows and as we move off to the scene, We expect you to rise up, take the baton, and make this country the greatest country you possibly can. Additionally, I extend my congratulations to the university on hosting the 4th Annual Research Day Publication Workshop. This initiative provides an opportunity for researchers to refine skills, enhance the quality of research techniques and papers, and also to be able to publish regionally and internationally, to put the Bahamas on the map and keep the fire burning at the University of the West Indies. Finally, as I take my seat, I am excited to listen to Dr. William Hamilton as he gives his presentation on climate change, a big phenomenon. I know I was at Harvard University. We have the first graduate from Harvard University in climate change. She's presently in the emergency room in Grand Bahama, but a new discipline. And the Bahamas is now taking its place on the global stage to ring the bell of the impact of climate change on small island development states like ours, and to let the international community know that your carbon and your greenhouse gases are creating some of the worst tropical cyclones in our region that is affecting the delivery of healthcare services and bursting our debt to GDP out of the roof. To the conference participants, I encourage you to be fully engaged in this platform. Advancing medicine requires evidence-based data, and your contribution will help to guide and shape the future of policies throughout the country, your practices, and the important aspect of patient care. Your findings have the potential to transform healthcare systems throughout the region. And on behalf of all of us at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I wish you all a successful conference, and may this event ignite new ideas, strengthen partnership, and inspire innovation for the future of healthcare delivery services throughout our archipelago. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Our keynote speaker this evening is employed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. He's a graduate of St. Anne's School, Montclair State University in New Jersey, has a Master's of Science degree in Health Sciences with a concentration in Integrative Health and Wellness from the University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey. He's a graduate of the University of the West Indies, where he got his medical degree. He is seen as one of the first climate change and health leaders fellow in the Bahamas. And he is, in fact, a pioneer in his field. His influence extends internationally. He has publications in journals such as Health Affairs, Journal on Climate Change, The Lancet, Oncology. He is a devoted family man. He's married to Dr. Nadia Holder, and they have a daughter. Please put your hands together and welcome Dr. William Hamilton.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, for the warm introduction. It is truly an honor to be with you this evening as we celebrate the 18th Annual Research Day under the theme, Innovation in Healthcare, Empowering Lives, Advancing Medicine, but also to celebrate you, the newest consultants on the block. This evening, I have been tasked to speak about a topic that is changing many landscapes. We will look at the nexus between climate change and health. And I pose this question to you. is climate health a health emergency? Hopefully by the end of the talk, you will have formed a conclusion. This is the outline of my talk. I will introduce the concept. We will take a closer look at the effects of climate change on health, in particular extreme weather and extreme heat, and then we will take a look at some research that was done locally. When I graduated from medical school some 10 years ago, I thought I would be walking the halls of Princess Margaret Hospital for years to come, as I did many a day as a child when I visited my father, physician, at the GPC or civil servant clinic. I never would have thought in all my years that I would be a doctor doing research and advising policy changes. As the saying goes, God truly has a sense of humor. In 2019, my wife and I were stationed at the Marsh Harbor Healthcare Center. A few months later, news outlets broke reporting a major hurricane is coming towards the Bahamas. My wife and I had extensive conversation on whether to stay or go. I was scheduled to be on call the following Monday, and I thought to myself, what if the airports close? What if our colleagues need us? And in the end, we decided to stay. As a good Cub Scout, I prepared and relocated my wife and I to the clinic quarters, as our house was elevated but in a secluded area. As the winds and rains intensified, we lost all communication. That is a screenshot from a Facebook page that a good friend of mine had put out trying to get us help. After hours of torrential downpour and watching 50-foot lampposts, imagine this with me, 50-foot lampposts and abaco pines snap like twigs. Water started to pour in from the roof and from the floor. The ceiling caved in, the window shattered. And in fear for our lives, we decided we would downsize, pack each a backpack each, and make a run next door to the next flat to try to get assistance from the senior nurse and her husband. What we said to each other in that moment was never let each other go. A 30-second walk felt like a 2-minute walk in mid-calf's amount of water and tree branches and shingles flying at our heads like missiles. Once we reached the front door, if anybody knows my wife, she's a first soprano, and my wife was screaming to the top of her lungs to try to get the nurse's attention to open the door. After a minute or two, we aborted our mission and went back feeling devastated, as the nurse did not hear us. She said, in another 20 minutes or so, I saw Nurse Science walk with a headscarf on. I was like, well, what nurse doing in there? I know she could have heard Nadia. She's like, Doc, I heard something that sounded like a cat, you know. I guess that's a good example. That's a good way to paint it. She was like, we have to move now. We are in the eye of the storm. So I said, well, sister, well, why you don't open the door? She said, Doc, I am so thankful that the door didn't open. I said, that response is strange. She said, the furniture in my living room had lifted up and was spinning. Her room had so much pressure in it. If I had gotten that door open, and mind you, the door was unlocked, the pressure would have released and come straight at me. As new consultants, you're probably saying, well, this will not be my reality. When I go to PMH, when I go to doctor's hospital, I have porters, I have my nurses, I have auxiliary, I have security. However, in a climate crisis, you will wear all of these hats. This is probably the only time where all of your accolades have little relevance, because now this is fight or flight, survival of the fittest. On the short drive to the clinic, as you can see here, we were in awe of the sheer devastation that we saw. We were indeed thankful for life, thinking that the worst was over. But boy, were we wrong. 15 minutes later, the first dump truck of many pulled up to the front entrance of the clinic, and persons were literally cascading over the top, trying to seek shelter, as there were only 2 government buildings left standing in the entire Marsh Harbor. So many people had makeshift tourniquets on, trying to tamponade bleeding from injuries they would have sustained. The clinic quickly became a shelter for over 1,500 persons. I had so many questions, personally and institutionally. Was I up for the challenge? Had the clinic ever held so many people at one time? There was no amount of training that would have prepared me for what I faced on September 1st and the next 72 hours that followed. So I asked the question, what is climate change? Climate change refers to the long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, but since the 1800s, give or take, human activity has been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels, such as coal and gas, which produces heat-trapping gases. As a point, I would like to delineate between weather and climate, because many think that when it's windy or it's rainy, that's climate change. No, that is weather. That is a short-term change in atmosphere that is usually measured over hours or weeks. When it comes to climate, climate is usually measured over a longer period, usually about a 30-year period. And so when you go on the boat with an old fisherman, they might say, boy, in my day, the water was never so high. That's something that is measured over an extended period. If there's anything that I want you to take from my talk tonight, I want you to take a look at this slide. In the room, we have graduates from 7 different disciplines. And whether you're a pediatrician or emergency medicine consultant, dealing with the increase in respiratory conditions due to allergens or Saharan dust, or a psychiatrist dealing with the mental consequences of a climate-driven storm, appreciate that all of your specialties are directly or indirectly impacted by climate change. However, I want to focus on 2 segments of this slide: extreme weather events and extreme heat, 2 areas that are very pertinent to our country. We are currently in the height of hurricane season. As we all know, it started on June 1st, and thank God it's ending very quickly on November 30th. This is a video of Hurricane Dorian making landfall over the Abacos with forward movement to Grand Bahama. Hurricane Dorian ticked every box of what a new profile hurricane looks like. Dorian was one of the strongest storms to ever make landfall in the Bahamas, with wind gusts up to 200 miles per hour. It underwent rapid intensification. And what does that mean? Wind speeds increased by 35 miles per hour over a 24-hour period. This phenomenon we have seen more recently with Hurricane Beryl that wreaked havoc in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in Jamaica, and then just a few weeks ago with Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene in North America. Hurricane Dorian was an extremely wet storm. So Hurricane Dorian packed 24-foot storm surges. I am 5'10". So imagine 4 of me, and we have storm surges going that high. It's a scary reality, but unfortunately, it is our reality. Hurricane Dorian came to a standstill, 0 miles per hour, and pounded Grand Bahama. The question I have for you this evening: if a hurricane was to pass through the Bahama chain with the same profile I just discussed, starting with Inagua in the south and going all the way to Abaco in the north, what is our plan as healthcare providers? What is our plan as Bahamians? You may not have the answer today, and that is okay. But the fact that we are here celebrating you means that as a collective, we have what it takes to figure it out. I know this is now your time to live life a little. You study for years. But the reality is, while enjoying life, we also need your knowledge, your expertise in research and academia to help us get some answers to some of these tough questions. We had a very busy, or having, sorry, a very busy Atlantic hurricane season, as forecasters rightfully predicted. As you can see, the top diagram in the left-hand corner shows that over the last 30 years, we have had an increase in the number of named storms, and more importantly, the number of major hurricanes. However, we have been blessed thus far this season. However, some of our neighbors in the region have been impacted by 4 named tropical cyclones, including Beryl, Ernesto, Nadine, and Oscar. However, over the last 10 years, we have had our fair share of hurricanes. Climate change packs a massive price tag. As our minister alluded to, Hurricane Dorian's estimated damage on the Bahamas was $3.5 billion. This degree of damage, year after year, is not sustainable for any small island developing state. The health outcomes associated with extreme weather events are vast. During our experience in Hurricane Dorian, this is some of the trauma that we saw: deep lacerations, head traumas, fractures, amputations, skin infections, and uncontrolled NCDs. More recently, the headlines have been filled with disruptions to healthcare delivery due to Hurricane Helene. There is now an IV fluid shortage and a peritoneal fluid shortage for dialysis due to a major pharmaceutical plant being destroyed in North Carolina. So I asked my newest consultants a question: how do we run a facility without normal saline, lactated ringers? Our numbers in hypertension and diabetes, which some are leaning to end-stage renal disease, how will we dialyze our patients? As you can see, the impacts of climate change is real. As a physician, it is easier to treat what we can see or what investigations show us. However, the reality is that the psychosocial footprint is much larger than the physical footprint in any public health emergency. I can vividly remember a patient saying to me, "Doc, I left my daughter on the roof dead." Or a son who was holding his mother, trying to seek shelter, when a piece of plywood severed his humerus, the same hand that he was holding his mother with. That same 24-foot storm surge I spoke about took his hand and his mother, never to be seen again. The mental health consequences of a climate-driven storm are pervasive. However, in an article co-authored by myself and 2 other colleagues here this evening, we focus on mental health consequences of a climate-driven hurricane and pose solutions as it relates to policy for disaster planning and health systems. I commend the Ministry of Health for the work done in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, where they provided mental health and psychosocial support for over 3,000 adults and 3,000 children. So let us segue into heat. We can all attest that we are living testimonies to a dreadfully hot summer. I have a 2-year-old daughter who is my heart. Roughly 2 months ago, my wife and I were terrified when she started to have involuntary facial twitching. As doctors, we knew that the differential diagnosis was lengthy, and obviously our brains were racing. We thought about the worst case scenarios possible. As a result, we started to talk to local specialists, international specialists. We spoke with peds, opthal, neuro, you name it. And my brother is a neurologist, and all roads led to retinal scans, MRIs, and EEGs. And I thought to myself, what is really going on here? My wife and I noticed that the frequency of facial twitching coincided with screen time. Now, peds focus a little bit. I know you're going to say, well, Doc, you should know better. For her age group, she'd only get 1 hour screen time. I get it. I get it. But just walk with me for 1 minute. It is 100 degrees outside, and the heat index says that it feels like 120 degrees. So we have two options. Stand outside in the extreme heat and let her have some health impacts. Understanding, like pediatricians always say, children are not little adults, right? Fine. The reality is that their bodies heat up very quickly and they cool down very slowly. And so we thought that keeping her inside during these warmer times would be more advantageous. However, it had detrimental effects. And we can all appreciate what a sedentary lifestyle causes. If you look at the diagram here, you can clearly see that we are having an increase in temperature anomalies. This dates back to the 1800s and shows as recent as 2024. And we can see year after year, this graph continues to get higher and higher due to what we as humans are doing with our greenhouse gas emissions. We can clearly see that during the summer months, our emergency rooms across the region and in North America have seen a spike in heat-related illness. This has led to a multidisciplinary approach to provide early warning heat advisories as well as heat health bulletins in conjunction with the Department of Meteorology. Colleagues, heat is every doctor's business. Let us spend more time being our brother's keeper. Spend an extra 5 minutes during a consult to speak with patients on climate change and heat recommendations, such as staying hydrated, wearing sunscreen, wearing loose-fitted long-sleeve clothing, using fans and central air. This type of conversation goes a long way. Believe it or not, research has shown that healthcare providers are the most trusted and most respected informants. Sorry, Minister. A large percentage of our population are outdoor workers. Think about our farmers, construction workers, fishermen, roadside vendors. They will all present to our clinic and emergency rooms, and we will all interact with one of these vulnerable populations. Today is graduation day, right? Not all doom and gloom. In order for us to get here, you would have spent countless hours with Dr. Frankson or Mr. Blake. In the world of climate change and health, this slide clearly depicts that we need you. As you can see, most of the research cited and published is from what we consider the global north, which is developed countries. I would love the next time that I am invited to speak that I am using local Bahamian data from research you would have done. The Bahamas has some of the brightest minds in the world, and I am looking at some of them here today. I need you to help me, but more importantly, I need you to help yourselves and the people we are entrusted to care for with providing evidence-based data that will drive healthcare forward. In 2022, I was honored to be a part of the Ministry of Health's climate change project team that looked at the first knowledge, attitude, and practice survey as it relates to climate change in the Bahamas. The objectives were to ascertain the extent of knowledge, attitude, and practices, and identify gaps in the knowledge, and to determine potential motivators for behavior change. Our sample size was approximately 3,500. Healthcare providers made up 9%. However, the results provided a baseline which allowed us to continue to improve knowledge, attitude, and practices for our population. Let us look a little further into some of the data we received. When we look at the cause of climate change, nearly 3/4 of respondents acknowledge the role of humans in causing climate change, whether entirely, mostly, or together with natural changes. However, respondents ascribed a great deal of blame to other countries contributing to climate while asserting that their contribution was slight and of their community and country being moderate. On a more personal level, elderly persons, children, outdoor workers, and the economically disadvantaged were perceived as the most susceptible to harm from climate change, mainly from storms, and to a lesser extent through food shortages and extreme heat. Anxiety and depression, vector-borne diseases, and malnutrition and hunger were the most identified negative health outcomes of climate change. While nearly everyone wanted to do something to combat climate change, just under a third actually tried to do something, most by conserving electricity, such as turning off lights, and using energy-saving bulbs. Using public transportation and using alternative energy sources were least practiced. You may be wondering, as a medical fraternity, how can we assist in combating climate change? We have any green thumbs in the room? One, thank God for Roseanne. Two, okay, Minister. And I'm happy that Minister Campbell is here, because what if we are able to partner with local plant nurseries, and for every child born at Princess Margaret Hospital, a tree is planted? Minister, maybe we can use this approach to assist with the beautification of our new hospital. I believe as we continue to increase our local knowledge and understanding of this topic of climate change and health, with the research that we're doing, your mind is going to be blown on how interconnected both topics are. Every day we wake up and we subconsciously recite the Hippocratic Oath that we took the day we became a doctor. One of those tenets is to first do no harm. The harsh reality is that as much as we are saving lives, our health systems globally is responsible for approximately 5% of total greenhouse gas emissions. But many will say, well, Doc, 5%? Not that much. Let's focus on 90 to 95%. Let's frame this just a little differently. If the global healthcare sector were to be a country, it would be the 5th largest greenhouse gas emitter on the planet. And I am not saying that we can change that today, but I do believe that we have the capacity to change it. Our generation, our children's generation, are counting on our creativity and our discipline. As I have shared this evening, we have seen a snapshot of how sick the planet is. The diagnosis is clear, and the best treatment for our patient is an interdisciplinary approach, all hands on deck approach to reduce carbon emissions and sources of toxins. In doing so, it will mitigate the worst effects of climate change while improving health outcomes. Let us remember that an emergency plan B cannot help us now, and there is no planet B. As I prepared for this talk, I reflected on my Hurricane Dorian experience heavily. When the U.S. Coast Guard opened the trauma room door in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, and said, "I am looking for Dr. Hamilton. We are here to evac your most critical patients," I quickly called my wife and the other 2 physicians there with us, Dr. Aswood and Dr. Carter, and we made a decision to send our 2 critical pediatric patients who sustained head injury secondary to the roof of their house, lifting off and landing on the car their parents had just put them in as they were trying to evacuate their house. When we got into medicine, we always believed that we can do something to help somebody else, true? And if you still believe that, then it will be easy for you to find your climate action sweet spot. We have talked a lot this evening. I have shared a lot of my business with y'all, but really with the hope that you would understand the importance of climate change. Really with the hope of understanding that as specialists, climate change is your business. My wife and I told each other when we made that not so smart decision to make a run for it while the wind was blowing, as it is today, not literally, but figuratively, that we would never let each other go. The question I asked myself on September 1st, 2019, I will ask you, my colleagues, this evening on October 23rd, 2024. Are you up to the challenge? Are you willing? Are you able to withstand the 200-mile-per-hour gusts? And so my call to you this evening is simply this. Let us never let each other go. Let us never let each other go through this alone. Let us be there for our patients. Let us be there for each other. Our inaction has major consequences, but our ability to act together can result in the greatest reward. These are my references, and by now I hope you have formed a conclusion on whether or not climate change is a health emergency. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamilton. Postgraduate medicine is very important to improve the overall healthcare delivery in any area. And so when we decided to get postgraduate programs started here in the Bahamas, that was a very important decision. So coming to give us an overview of the postgraduate program in the Bahamas is one of the initial graduates of the family medicine program, Dr. Pinder Butler.
Good evening, everyone. And certainly, as Dr. Johnson highlighted, postgraduate medical training is indeed very, very important. It allows us to equip physicians with specialized knowledge and skills and to provide enhanced care to our patients, and allows physicians to remain abreast with latest advancements in the field. And I think we all know they change almost, it seems, every second in the day now. But we are certainly blessed at the UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research that there was wisdom in certainly expanding our practice, our clinical training, from not just training undergrad and medical students, but certainly so that we're able to see the specialist physicians that we have graduating before us this evening. So, as Dr. Johnson mentioned, I am one of the products of the family medicine residency training. I would have graduated in 2010. Doesn't seem that long ago, but certainly we're very thankful that the family medicine training program was the first training program at the UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research. So in 2002, our program was initiated under the guidance of our own Dr. Sherilyn Hannah Mahace, and it was a strategic measure at that time to meet the primary healthcare challenges of the Bahamas, and certainly today as we continue to improve on universal health coverage in our islands. And I'm glad that the Minister of Health mentioned the importance of us working on the family islands. This has certainly been one of the objectives that allowed us to start the program in family medicine. As I look today as well, I know that the speaker behind me, Dr. Francis Williams, was actually the first DM-trained graduate of all the programs. And he actually serves as our medical chief of staff. And so we know that the far-reaching effects of specialty and specialty training has certainly allowed all of us to have benefits. So from a training program that started with four DM specialists in our program, we have now graduated 70 DM trained physicians. I think that deserves a round of applause. And of those physicians, several of them have been fortunate to also continue on to fellowships in occupational health, gastrointestinal endoscopy, geriatrics, as well as dermatology. Our work, however, is not done. we certainly would like to see more physicians trained, and we look forward to that occurring. We are also blessed, even though that we have a small pool of lecturers at our SCMR school. We have been blessed to have an excellent support team. I am also assisted by my co-coordinator, Dr. Catherine Conliff, and we have also been supported by other clinical tutors and associate lecturers, and certainly by our former coordinator, Dr. Carneal Farquharson. In 2004, the university also had other specialties come on board, and we were delighted that internal medicine also started their training in 2004. And we have to always give kudos to our persons who were certainly there at the initial groundwork. We want to recognize a resident nephrologist, Dr. Adrian Sawyer, who started out at that time, and Dr. Sawyer was also a DM graduate at the UWI Mona campus. On his retirement, Dr. Dames Alec, who again, a DM graduate. I hope we're all seeing the trend, the DM graduates. We're expecting you to also be a part of the faculty, also led that local program. And now we have our own Dr. Chin, who is now the coordinator of internal medicine. And she is also supported by several other competent and supportive clinical tutors and associate lecturers. And internal medicine has been blessed to also have 14 internist specialists in that department. I think that deserves a round of applause. Certainly, internal medicine is looking ahead to graduating and training in other fellowships, and we know that we're certainly in need of cardiologists, oncologists, rheumatology, and palliative care, so that we're able to address the needs of our country. In 2004, we also saw that surgery started their residency program. And we all know that depending on the field that you're in, sometimes the training can be and appear to be vigorous, but certainly nonetheless, we're able and we were glad to see that that program has also allowed successful completion of 8 surgical specialists in country. Let's give surgery a round of applause. We want to also thank the coordinators, Dr. Robin Roberts, Dr. Srikanth, and certainly now that surgical specialty is led by our very own Dr. Wesley Francis. Now, from the inception of that residency program, there have also been 4 subspecialist fellowships, and we know that they continue to add to the wealth of surgical skills that are seen at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And so the commitment and collaboration that goes into that particular program is also something that we would like to commend to the associates and the team of the surgical department. In 2004, we also had our obstetrics and gynecology program starting. And that program was led by our own Dr. James Johnson, who is here with us this evening, Dr. Varunda, and that program is now also being led by our own Dr. Riley Butler. The program also has graduated some 20 DM specialists in obstetrics and gynecology. Let's give them a round of applause. We also know that there have been several establishments, certainly the Fellowship in Oncology that was started in 2018 in collaboration with the University of Miami and the International Gynecological Cancer Society, which also serves the Caribbean, and that is something that we are certainly proud of. In addition to that, we have also had other obstetrics and gynecology specialists serve in Freeport, Grand Bahama, and certainly that program is also looking to seek accreditation as a formal teaching hospital in Grand Bahama. And I think that is certainly something that we should be proud of. The fifth program at the UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research is our psychiatry program. And certainly I know that all of us have been hearing a lot about the importance of mental health. And so we are certainly proud that today the psychiatry program has graduated 13 specialists in the field of psychiatry. That department was initially led by our own Dr. Nelson Clark, and that coordinator for psychiatry is now our own Dr. Eugenia Kumbi. And we are certainly pleased of the support that they continue to receive from all of our clinical tutors as well as our associate staff. The pediatric department also started their postgraduate program in 2007. And that program was started by our own Dr. Gwen McDeegan, who led from 2007 until 2023. And that program is now led by our own Dr. Sharnika Knowles, who happens to be a 2018 graduate of the program. We are very delighted that pediatrics also has graduated some 25 specialist pediatricians. Let's give them a round of applause. We know that child health is extremely important in the country, and so we're very delighted that that program has been able to produce the number of trained specialists to date. We also look forward to the other specialists that should be returning home from fellowship training in the areas of adolescent medicine, neurology, as well as pediatric heme oncology, because we know that certainly we are seeing that other physicians are retiring and we need specialists to continue the care in the Bahamas. And last but by no means least, we have the Department of Emergency Medicine, which established their program in 2008, and to date, emergency medicine has graduated some 15 specialists in the emergency department. We wish to also pay homage to the coordinators of that program, which at the time was Dr. Colin Bullard, assisted by Dr. Michelle Sweeting, Dr. Caroline Burnett-Garraway, as well as Dr. Sarah Friday. However, Dr. Crystal Wells has also been coordinator, and that program is now led by our very own Dr. Pavia Davis McKenzie. We're also thankful for the support staff, as well as all of the associate lecturers that continue to support those various disciplines. So we know that the university to date has graduated some 165 DM-trained specialists. I think that deserves an extra round of applause. So from no trained specialists to 165 specialists, we certainly know that we've come a very, very long way. And so we know that the future is bright for the postgraduate training at UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research. We are also looking forward to other specialty areas also coming on board, such as orthopedics and anesthesia, among others. To God be the glory.
Thank you very much for that overview. Just sort of gives you an idea of how we have been developing. And also, as she said, to you, your job is just starting, okay? We expect you to be occupying these positions in the not too distant future. Dr. Francis Williams is our medical chief of staff at Princess Margaret Hospital, and he's going to come at this time to give a charge to you. Dr. Williams, give him a round of applause, please.
Good night. I stand on the established protocol. I was asked to keep it short, and so I shall. It is both a privilege and an honor to stand here before you this evening, not just as the medical chief of staff, but as someone who has walked the path that you now find yourselves on. As the first postgraduate from the UWI School of Clinical Medicine and Research, the Bahamas, I can relate to the immense pride you feel, the hurdles you've overcome, and the dreams you carry with you today. I am proud of each and every one of you for your dedication, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment it took to reach this stage. You've worked hard, conducted research, and proven your capabilities in ways that have already impacted our healthcare system. But now it is time to think not only about the next step in your career, but about the lasting contributions you can make to our nation. As it relates to research, each of you has had to push boundaries, explore new ideas, and present findings that contribute to the body of medical knowledge. Your research was not just the requirement for you to graduate. It was a testament to your intellectual curiosity and the future innovations you are capable of bringing to the table. As specialists, your ability to marry clinical practice with continued research will shape the care that we provide to our people. As you step into your new roles as medical specialists, some of you 1 or 2 years removed, I want you to take a moment to reflect on the unique challenges we face as a resource-challenged healthcare system. You and I both know them. We all know the road ahead will not be easy. There will be moments of frustration, moments when you feel overwhelmed by the limitations around you. But I urge you to remember this. It is precisely in these moments that your impact can be the greatest. You have been equipped with knowledge, skills, and passion for healing, but beyond that, you have a responsibility to give back to the communities that now need you most. In a system where resources are not ideal, your expertise can be a beacon of hope. Each patient you encounter is not just a case. They are individuals with stories, dreams, and families who depend on you. Giving back means more than just providing medical care. It means advocating for your patients, understanding their needs, and working tirelessly to bridge the gaps in our healthcare system. It means mentoring the next generation of healthcare providers, sharing your knowledge, and inspiring others to join this noble profession. As you embark on this journey, I encourage you to seek out opportunities to serve in the Family Islands and other underserved areas in the Bahamas, to volunteer your time and skills, and to be the voice to those who may not have one. Remember, the true measure of your success will not be found in accolades or titles, but in the lives you touch and the difference you make. In closing, I want to remind you that you are a part of a team. You are a part of a community of leaders, advocates, and change makers. Together, we can transform our healthcare system, one patient at a time. So go forth with courage, compassion, and a commitment to give back. The Bahamas needs you now more than ever. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Let's make a difference. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. We are going to, at this time, we're going to have a special musical selection by the Defense Force Band. Following that, we will proceed with the recognition with the award of plaques to the graduates, the Defense Force Band. Thank you very much for that wonderful spicy selection. Okay, so the way we're going to do this now, you can see the photographer is getting himself ready so that he can be able to take his photos in front of the UWI background. And so our first coordinator for emergency medicine, Dr. Pavia Davis McKinsey, is going to come center stage. And as I call the name of the candidates, they will come and receive their plaque. I was made to understand that one of two of them may not be here, and so some of their seniors will come and receive on their behalf. Please give a round of applause to the coordinator for family medicine, who herself is a graduate of that program. Y'all watching? Y'all getting the idea how it works? Wonderful. Okay, so our first, Dr. Miles Brennan. I understand he is not here, and so our former medical chief of staff, Dr. Bernard Garraway, is going to accept on his behalf. Give him a round of applause as she accepts on his behalf. That's fine. Next is Dr. Randolph Culmer. I understand he is not here. And receiving on his behalf is a former director, Dr. Krista Wells, is going to receive on his behalf. Give him a round of applause, even in his absence. Next, Dr. Kerma Scott Hall. Dr. Kerma Scott Hall. Emergency medicine people are working so hard, they couldn't get the time off to come to the ceremony. So Dr. Davis is going to receive on his behalf, on her behalf, sorry. Next is family medicine. And so we're going to have Dr. Pinder Butler is going to come to present to these specialists. First, Dr. James Adley. Dr. James Adley. Give him a round of applause, please. He's actually here. Let me get out of your way. The Defense Force Band go and sleep on me. I thought I had an arrangement with them, but anyhow. That was a nice little background music you had going there. You're free to start it up again whenever you're ready. Hint, 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 hint. Dr. Brune Dorset. Dr. Dorset. She's come on. I'm getting in their way. Next, Dr. Tessa Gibbs. Dr. Tessa Gibbs. Not here, okay. Dr. Jamiko Thompson. Dr. Thompson. Okay, Dr. Pinder Butler has informed me that she wants to share the spotlight with her colleagues. Dr. Pinder Butler, help me out there now. Dr. Conlip is going to come and do the presentation for 2023. So give her a round of applause as she comes, please. First is Dr. Latanya Bell Adley. Dr. Wilney Bain. Dr. Bain. Dr. Ian Cartwright. Dr. Cartwright. Dr. Dante Jacobs. Dr. Jacobs. Dr. Roshan Knowles. Dr. Knowles. Dr. Sheree Longley. Dr. Longley. That's 2023. 2024 is going to be done by Dr. Bernard Garraway. Oh, Dr. Carol. Okay. I was wondering. I thought Bernard Garraway was emergency medicine. Give her a round of applause as she comes, please. It's one of the lecturers in the program. Dr. Andrea Culmore. Dr. Culmore. Dr. Sharenda Dean. Sharenda Dean. Dr. Dean. Dr. Elendera Ferguson Knowles. Dr. Ferguson Knowles. Dr. Deandra Rigby Sands. Dr. Rigby Sands. Dr. Keishan Wilkinson. Dr. Wilkinson. That completes family medicine. Now we move on to obstetrics and gynecology. Please welcome Dr. Riley Butler, who is the coordinator for obstetrics and gynecology. Dr. Butler. First is Dr. Agatha Pinder-Folks. Dr. Pinder-Folks, give her a round of applause. Next, Dr. Terrell Carey. Dr. Carey. Dr. Louis Pintard. Dr. Pintard. Dr. Zaria Claire. Dr. Claire. That completes obstetrics and gynecology. Now we move on to pediatrics. Dr. Knowles is going to come and present these awards. Give Dr. Notes a round of applause as she comes, please. First one is trying to fix me up. She helped me out. Dr. Giamara Campbell Johnson. Dr. Campbell Johnson. Dr. DeAndrea Cornish. Dr. Cornish. Dr. Cornish is busy looking after some babies. Dr. Anthea Forbes Carey. Dr. Forbes Carey. Dr. Nadia Miller. Dr. Miller. Dr. Amanda Rami. Dr. Rami. Dr. Rodney Green. Dr. Green. Dr. Shate Lopez. Dr. Lopez. That completes pediatrics. We move on to psychiatry. Our medical chief of staff, Dr. Williams, is going to do the presentations for psychiatry. Dr. Petra Forbes. Dr. Forbes. Dr. Tamika Johnson Dames. Dr. Johnson Dames. Dr. Davinia Knowles Robinson. Dr. Knowles Robinson. Dr. Kenneth Arima. Dr. Arima. And Dr. Thomas Smith and Dr. Devon Roll are listed here, but if anybody else standing on the lines, I assume that means that they're busy maintaining the mental health of our nation. The next, that completes psychiatry, is the Department of Surgery. And Dr. Besley Francis, who serves as the coordinator, is going to come to make these presentations. Dr. Francis. You can give Dr. Francis a round of applause. Dr. Bernard McPhee. Dr. McPhee. Dr. Delicia Bodie. Dr. Bodie. Dr. Krista Nottage. Dr. Nottage. That concludes our awards, and we're going to proceed now with a response from the graduates by Dr. Bain. Okay, we're going to put this podium back up. Want something done? Do it yourself.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, a pleasant good evening. It is my honor to speak on behalf of the graduating classes of 2022 to 2024. The last time I spoke at a ceremony under similar circumstances would have been back in 2013. This would have been for the MBBS graduation. I ended that speech by quoting an American novelist by the name of Don Williams Jr., and I thought it would be befitting to begin this speech with the same quote, which says, "The road of life twists and turns, and no two directions are ever the same. Yet our lessons come from the journey, not the destination." As I look across the faces of my colleagues, I am reminded that our journey to postgraduate training has involved different paths. Some paths have been smooth, and others, like mine, had quite a few potholes along the way. But despite the sprained ankles and bruised knees, we made it to the finish line. Postgraduate training at the University of the West Indies is much like a marriage. It takes good communication, dedication, commitment, a little finessing, and a test of the vows. For example, for richer or poorer. I know I'm not alone in saying that I'm happy to no longer receive those email reminders about paying school fees. In sickness and in health, we've all at one time or another experienced personal ailments. Until death do us part. We've mourned the death of family, friends, and colleagues, but yet we made it here. Over the past 2 years, the University of the West Indies School of Clinical Medicine and Research has successfully produced 38 new specialists from the areas of surgery, psychiatry, pediatrics, obstetrics and gynecology, emergency medicine, and last but certainly not least, family medicine. That's right, big family, not the little one. Although we may have different specialties, we must work together to continue to move healthcare within the Bahamas in an advanced direction. Through the blood, sweat, and tears that we've endured on this journey, we must not be discouraged to give back. We would like to thank the government of the Bahamas for providing this opportunity for postgraduate training within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you to the past and current directors, lecturers, and associate lecturers for your guidance and support over the years. Thank you to the various heads of departments that welcomed us with open arms during our residency. Thank you to our colleagues that provided words of encouragement, that allowed us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you to our spouses and significant others for holding down the fort. Thank you to our parents, aunts, uncles, and even grandparents that were willing to watch the kids on our much-needed study breaks. Thank you to our siblings and friends that provided a listening ear and shoulder to cry on. Thank you to our patients, because without you, there would be no us. And lastly, we thank God for being a savior and a provider through the trials and tribulations. To the current residents in the various programs, I don't mean to be cheesy, but I have to quote Brian McKnight by saying, remember to never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if you should ever fall, you will never fail. Just get up and try again. In closing, to my fellow colleagues, the newest specialists within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, remember that success is not measured by the accolades you receive, but by the impact you make on others. Good night.
Thank you very much. Just note to all of you that receive plaques, if you look under your chair, you will see that there is a bag under there for you to store it in. So you can each reach under your chair and take the bag that's under your chair to put your, no, it's on the floor actually. It's under the chair, on the floor. I'm looking at it, so I know it's there, yeah. Okay. It's not a trick. Okay. Director, where is the QR code? On what? Yes, come. Yeah, come. Oh, you're going to put it up. Okay. She was just telling me that you can scan the QR code in order to get the rest of the program for the 2 research days. So apparently she's going to put it up on the board and then you'll be able to do so. Okay, so we've reached the end of our program except for the vote of thanks. And so coming at this time to give the vote of thanks is Dr. Raleigh Butler. Give him a round of applause as he comes, please.
Good night, everyone. Tonight, James, I have to begin with you. You so adequately mastered the ceremony and kept us on track, and we thank you for all that you do. I next have to thank Dr. Raquel Hall Davis, who gave us that special invocation. Thank you very much for leading us in the moment and opening the ceremony with a special prayer to set the stage for us to begin the celebration tonight. Our director, I think she needs no introduction tonight, Dr. Corinne Sinqui, and can we give her another round of applause for really, really taking the mantle and moving us forward as we continue to develop our School of Clinical Medicine and Research. What can I say about our Honorable Minister and a graduate of UWI, Dr. Michael Darville? You so adequately set the stage, not only for one of your members to follow, Dr. William Hamilton, but you opened and raised the veil of letting us know that certainly that the Bahamas and the region have to deal with hurricanes from time to time. This certainly has a strong impact on the delivery of healthcare, and you so adequately invested in all of these graduates here tonight to continue the work that has to be done for us as we older ones lead the stage and pass the mantle to the next set of graduates to continue the wonderful work here in the Bahamas. What can I say about Dr. William Hamilton? Listening to the time when you and your wife had to deal with Dorian, it certainly raised the veil and lifted that covering and let the Bahamas know that hurricanes are something that we have to deal with on an annual basis. But more importantly, you use that moment to rise up and certainly went back to school and certainly became the first graduate in this area. And I'm happy that the ministry have certainly intertwined you into their development. So I will continue to look for great things as we all grow and we find ways to finance and run a country and worry about food security, worry about health care, worry about all the mental issues that hurricanes would bring every year to this society that we live in. Mr. Blake, you have recently joined the faculty and you have picked up the mantle and you are running very well with the research component. As you know, the school itself calls itself the School of Clinical Medicine and Research. You have certainly, and listening to our graduates, certainly you have hit the ground running, and we are privileged and pleased to have you join us here to continue the much-needed work that the university must use in order to develop and to grow and to continue for the UWI brand to be certainly something that's paramount in all the other universities of the world. Dr. Pinder Butler, it was wonderful listening to the overview and realize how far we have come. It is amazing. The university is continuing to grow almost minute by minute. I too hope that one day, too, other programs will take the lead and continue to develop and perhaps train. As we all know, it is easier to train some of our graduates at home and then develop you further on the international scene in fellowships. I was pleased to hear and see how many programs are quickly developed in this country. And I don't worry, because the future of UWI in this country, no doubt, will be exceedingly bright. Dr. Francis Williams, you have certainly set the stage. You were the first one to walk that walk. And we're proud to have you sit in the Princess Margaret as the medical chief of staff. It must be difficult at times listening and managing all the problems that will come across your desk, but you have certainly exemplified what a UE graduate should have. You have taken the mantle, you took the challenge, and you are setting the stage for all the others to come. And in managing us and managing all the problems that will come to you on a daily basis. What can I say about the Royal Bahamas Defense Force? Your preludes have been great. As I listen to Ain't No Mountain High Enough, it reminded me of another song, Climb Every Mountain. You young graduates must continue to do that and never stop dreaming, because you can achieve everything that you want to as long as you have dedication, patience. If you get knocked down, you got to pick yourself up again and stay in the fight, because there will be light at the end of the tunnel. The presentation of the awards, James, I will bring you there again. I have to take my hat to you, because I remember the time when you and I went to Jamaica to meet all the different heads of department, especially in the OBGYN department, out of our own pockets on a Saturday and a Sunday to argue vehemently that we should bring ONG to the Bahamas and train our own. Thank you for your vision, and thank you for your persistence, because you certainly did a job well done at starting the program. Dr. Bain, what can I say about you? You were pleasant. I have watched you develop from a medical student, and I'm glad you are in the fold now. And you have to continue to grow. You grew into a young woman and a fine young professional, and I am sure there has to be more in that tank. Please continue to lead. Please continue to dream, and please continue to remember to which much is given, much is expected. UWI has made all of us in this room, and so we must remember as we continue to rise up to the halls that we continue to think about all the others that will come to join us. As I close, the only charge I would like to say, there were wives, there were husbands, there were children, there were mothers, there were fathers, there were extended families that stood behind all of us, and especially all of this graduation class, and help you begin your journey. This is only the beginning. This is not the end. We are all proud of you. You have done exceptionally well, and we look forward to all the contributions you are going to make for healthcare in the not too distant future. And thank you all. I must be remiss. UWI doesn't only run with professionals who teach. There is the UWI staff, support staff. They are all here. I am probably going to ask them if they're in the room to stand up so we can give them. I watch them every day, almost look after all of the graduates in this room, and have certainly argued and fought tooth and nail in the back room to make sure all of you get what is due to you, and more importantly, achieve your goal. Where's the UWI support staff? And? Okay, oh, they're working as usual. There they go. But to all the people who have supported these graduates here tonight, you deserve perhaps the biggest reward. You have stood with them. Continue to clap yourselves. I will bellow in the back room. You have encouraged them. You have made sure that when they fell, they got up. And more importantly, you have instilled in them that they must go ahead and continue to build and look after those people who are less fortunate than us and deliver the health care to our society. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.
Next time, I can let Dr. Butler do the keynote address. You see how long he take to do the thank you? You're begging him to finish. Couple more things. I want all of the graduates to stand, please. Stand and turn around and give a round of applause to your family and your friends who have supported you. Okay. Photographer, your time. Okay, so I'm going to ask your indulgence. The band is going to play the musical interlude. The photographer is going to organize the graduates along with the program coordinators, dignitaries in the front row, take some photographs. So, yes, he says, y'all stay in your seat. Don't come getting in his way, because he want to take your picture the way he want to take it. All right. That's in Bahamas. Oh, the code is finally up. The code that you can scan for the program for Research Day. Yes. And go ahead. Following the picture, I'm going to ask you to remain for a little while so that the graduates can leave first, so that the minister can congratulate them when they're leaving. Thank you very much.